Welcome to the January 9th, 2024 meeting of the Richmond Sanitary District Board of Commissioners. The first item of business is to welcome new Mayor Ron Wohler to swear us in to officially open our meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad you're here. I'm going to do these individually, and I will read the whole statement, and we'll start with Aman over here. I'll read the whole statement, and you'll affirm however you want to affirm. So with your right hand, do you, Aman Bakshi, solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Indiana and the ordinances of the city of Richmond, Indiana, and that you will faithfully and conscientiously discharge your duties as a member of the Sanitary District Board for the city of Richmond according to law and to the best of your abilities, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Sue Miller, do you solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Indiana and the ordinances of the city of Richmond, Indiana, and that you will faithfully and conscientiously discharge your duties as a member of the Sanitary Board for the city of Richmond according to the law and the best of your abilities, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Greg Steens, do you solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Indiana and the ordinances of the city of Richmond, Indiana, and that you will faithfully and conscientiously discharge your duties as a member of the Sanitary District Board for the city of Richmond according to the law and the best of your abilities, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. There you go. Nene, have a good meeting.
Okay, thank you very
so
much. Let us know if there's anything that we need to do. The next item of business is the election of the 2024 board officers. Do I have any nominations?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi.
motion, can I just read out all three? Would that be okay, or can I do one at a time?
I would suggest you take those individually.
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 Okay. Motion to approve Sue Miller as president.
Yeah. No, I think you were gonna close the nominations.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I do second for sure.
Okay,
so.
okay. Then I need to
Yeah.
close the nominations? Okay. Are there any other nominations for president?
Sorry about that.
No worries.
No other. Then I will close the nominations. We have a motion and a second nominating myself as president of the Richmond Sanitary Board. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Well, at least you didn't say nay. The next, then our next office is the role of vice president.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steens.
I'll nominate Aman Bakshi as vice president.
And I will second the motion. And do we do anything else? Oh, me, it's me. Gosh,
Have we done this before?
I don't know. There's been a motion and a second to nominate Vice President Aman Bakshi for the Richmond Sanitary District Board. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next office is that of recording secretary. Is there a nomination?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
I'd like to nominate Jessica Foster as the recording secretary.
And I'll second the motion. And we have a motion and a second nominating Jessica Foster as our recording secretary. Any other motions or nominations? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have elected Jessica Foster again. Thank you very much. That takes us then to our next item of business, which is the approval of board minutes from December 12th of 2023.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi.
motion for approval of board minutes from December 12th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the board minutes of December 12th of 2023 as presented. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is approval of invoices from check dates December 15th, 22nd, and 29th of 2023.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steens.
make a motion to approve invoices for check date run December 15th, 22nd, and 29th of 2023, totaling $504,186.24. We had some significant invoices. First from Co-Alliance Cooperative for $25,992.04. Two payments to Pyramid Equipment, the first of $42,300 and the second of $16,686. Merrill Brothers, Inc., $28,740. S&K Equipment Company, $17,557. Two payments from two different accounts, I suppose. The first payment was to Bank America was for $68,735, and the second was $68,735.01. And Cooley Contracting LLC for $37,834.63.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second to approve invoices from tech dates December 15th, 22nd, and 29th of 2023, totaling $504,186.24. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item of business is our director's report.
Yes, Madam President and Board. Before you is the November monthly report. There are a few items to note in that. The first, under Part 1, effluent quality, there was one violation of the plant in ammonia. That was a weekly ammonia limit. The limit is a weekly average of 1.4 milligrams per liter, and the plant reported 2.9. This increase in ammonia was caused by a leak in our air header, which supplies the necessary oxygen to the aeration basins. That was an underground pipe. As soon as low dissolved oxygen levels were noted in the tank, we called our contractor and had this tracked down in emergency repair. Within a day of the repair, the facility was treating as it should, and that went away, but we did take that one violation there for that weekly limit.
Is that exacerbated by the low flows we've had, or does that have any impact on anything down at the plant?
It would vary. I would say the low flow probably helped us more than hurt us under the scenario, as the load of oxygen required was lower. I would think that we would have been higher in ammonia. Now, it just kind of depends. Rain can sometimes dilute things, and some seasonal variations as well. And the repair was done the day before Thanksgiving, so we were a little seasonally warm then. If we'd have been a little colder, it might have helped us. So there's just a lot of variables in there. We had this underground pipe. We had a leak in this 2 or 3 years ago as well, a small leak. I mean, they were both small leaks, or small holes, I guess. And we had, at that time, we contracted out and had a thermal drone fly over and do a inspection of that underground pipe, looking at heat, because that compressed air puts out a lot of heat. And at the time, we noticed some really, really small things, but it didn't warrant really digging up the entire pipe and replacing it at that time. So we did take this leak here. We may come back in and evaluate that again at some point. We know that pipe's been underground for a long time. But again, it was quickly recovered, and it was a low exceedance on that limit. So not terrible by any means, but not what we'd like to see either. Second note is down under the waste collection, solid waste summary, which is part 6 of the report. Leaf pickup for that month is included in the special pickup data, much as it was in the October one. There were 20 full leaf loads at 71.58 tons that are part of that. Special pickups, 100.43 tons. There were a couple, though, of leaf loads delivered to the Parks Department greenhouse, which also has a permitted compost pile. Those loads were not weighed, though, as we have the scale at our site. They don't have a scale. I also want to make a note that code enforcement delivered 4 tires at 2.02 tons, which is factored into their tonnage above. The rest was all trash related. And those are all the notes I have on the director's report. Specifically, unless there are questions. I do want to say, and we've talked about this a little bit, coming around next year, all these when it's relative to yearly averages and things like that, just kind of to give us a relative standpoint. I'm going to go back in and do that with all the data we've had over the last few years. I mean, I know COVID and different things have changed that, so we can have a new relative number to go off of. The next meeting in January as well, you'll get the December report, but then in February, I will likely I'll have the year end completed, and we'll kind of go over that year end. And there's some things on the year end report that aren't really in these monthly reports, so I may modify this to include some of those factors as well, so we can kind of tally that all year long as well. But that is all I have unless there are questions.
Questions? Thank you. The next item of business is the recommendation to enter into an agreement for tires for the sanitary district.
Yes, Madam President, board members. On December 6th of this year, of 2023, I reached out to Green Fork Alignment asking if they had any pricing for the tires for 2024, which we have purchased tires from Green Fork now for about over 7 years, and has then the price based on price and availability. And they've held their prices for the last few years for us. There was a price increase this year. I just want to let everybody know, I have worked with Danny Hall from Green Fork Alignment, trying to find the best tires for our heavy, our bigger trucks, trash trucks. And I think we've done a pretty good job by getting the right tire on the right vehicle. And as everybody knows, tires are very expensive, and availability has become scarce also. Greens Fork gave me a quote for the tires we use regularly, and I compared them to the 23 cost, and on an average, the increase was approximately $7.75 per tire. So after reviewing the quote, it was my recommendation to the board to award this to Greens Fork Alignment of Centerville, Indiana, in the amount of what's presented on the sheet that they gave us, but a not to exceed number of $80,000. And just to let you know, we've only spent generally around $68,000 per year, so we hardly ever reach the $80,000. But I would like to add the option to renew this contract for year 2, 2025, and year 3, 2026, if both parties can agree on the price on the tires at the end of the year from December 31st, 24, and December 31st, 2025. Their quote is valid from January 1, or until January 1, 2025. And I did attach the quotes of the quote they gave me.
So I guess because I would assume that next year the individual prices of tires would change. If we vote to renew it, would our renewal just be at a not to exceed 80 again? Would that be sufficient?
Yes, I don't see us going over 80,000 for.
So we're not
We're not
choosing
reaching
for
that yet.
certain prices?
I would definitely, I can bring back to the board to let you all know if there is an increase. Like I said, Greens Fork has been able to hold the prices for us, sometimes a year at a time, sometimes maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
But
I guess I was just more making sure of how we word it to make sure that it would be
we keep a cap on there.
would that be the way?
If that's
So we're not really committing to certain prices per tire so that you wouldn't have to come back because of that.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Was this in the price request for options to renew for
Yes,
years 1 and 2? But they didn't give us a price, right?
They didn't give us a price. No, he did not give us a price because
Yeah.
they won't know till generally in late October, November if there's going to be a price increase.
I don't know if that's okay to do that or not. I would
It's kind of-
ask our law department that, if the law department's okay with it, but I would
that's the
think
reason-
because their price could change. We could still leave it at 80,000, but we're getting less tires for 80,000.
Okay.
So it might go down, maybe, so I don't know if that's a proper way to
AJ
do
has
it or
a way
not.
of doing it that are, to make it protecting us, that's fine.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know. I'm
it-
fine with the law department says it's okay, or purchasing department says it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it should be noted, because you said the average increase, approximately $7.75 per tire. There were several tires that there was no increase on.
Yeah,
It
and that's-
wasn't that they just did a flat across the board.
And that's what I just added up all the tires we
Yeah.
get, and that's why I took
Yeah.
the average. Yeah, there were some tires that did go down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why I put in there of, if both parties agree, so we're not locked in, we can, sort of, whatever the board's pleasure is.
Greg, I would agree with Greg. I want to have a conversation with purchasing, but if that could be, the issue could be noted in the contract request form. Let me see about the best and most efficient way to draft this contract pursuant to the discussion that's being held here today. But I think we can make this work. I just want to make sure it's done in a way that makes sense for both parties when that time arrives.
so how do we fashion that into a motion?
I don't know, should we go ahead and do this or wait to the next meeting, AJ?
Well, what kind of timeline are we on?
We've got tires on hand, and if for some reason we would have to have something that we don't have on hand.
You can do an
I'll-
emergency
we'll
or
do an
something.
emergency, a PO, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
That would be my preference
To get
let's
a-
get the language together
Get the
first
language
before
right.
we make a
Okay.
motion.
Let's do that.
Okay. So we'll just, in 2 weeks' time, do you think we could have the language?
Well, we'll try to have that language in the contract
Okay.
in place.
It's, yeah, I mean, I just want to make it clear, I mean, we're not opposed to the notion of it, we just want to make sure that the language is what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And that we're not just opening carte blanche to them to say, well, they gave a not to exceed, so
Right.
we'll increase the price on everything.
Right.
Okay,
Sounds good.
okay. Thank you. We'll bring that back at a later meeting then. We are tabling item number 6, the agreement for the combination truck for sewer maintenance, which will take us on to recommendation to enter into an agreement for on-call surveying services.
Yes, Madam President and Board. This is a contract for professional services related to surveying, one that we've done in the past, but the most recent 3-year contract is now up. And so I reached out to the consultant that we've used for this in the past and asked for a proposal. And it's our recommendation to award this to Beals Moore and Associates of Richmond to provide on-call professional land surveying services as requested by the Richmond Sanitary District. We know every year we have work at the landfill that we need done. We also have miscellaneous stuff that comes up related to either easements or boundary surveys that might be needed from time to time for projects. And this is how that would occur. And so the fees for this work would be billed at the hourly rates on the attached proposal. Supplies would be paid at a cost plus 10%. And we have put an estimated annual cost for 22, 23, and 24. Or I'm sorry, that didn't get changed. So it's 24, 25, and 26 at $18,000 per year, but could vary based on the need of any particular year. There are funds budgeted annually for this. This will go to the Stormwater Management Board as well, and would be paid based on what kind of work it's being done for. Is it done for stormwater, stormwater pay? If it's for sanitary, sanitary would pay.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just clarify, so we don't want to set a cap on this, we just want to go by hourly rate?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion for recommendation to enter into agreement for on-call surveying services as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to enter into the agreement for on-call surveying services as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to enter into an agreement for the education coordinator.
Yes, Madam President and Board. We had set these, both this and the Assistant Conservation Education Coordinator interlocal agreements up in the past, so that if there was a salary adjustment, as these people are employees of the county, if there's a salary adjustment that is 5% or less, that we don't need to come back every year and redo these. The county went through and adjusted salaries, so both for Conservation Education Coordinator and the Assistant, and those are both greater than 5%. So we need to come back in and make that change. The only thing that really changes in these agreements are the wages that are set forth in them. So it's my recommendation to approve this with the increased salary.
Any questions or a motion?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steens?
I'll make a motion to approve contract number 2, 2024. This is the interlocal agreement that for the employment of the coordinator for the, was it conservation?
education.
Education.
Conservation Education Coordinator.
As presented.
A second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve contract number 2-2024, the interlocal agreement for the pay salary of the Conservation Education Coordinator. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to enter into the agreement for the Assistant Education Coordinator.
So this is the same thing, so.
Okay.
Yep. President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion for recommendation to enter into agreement for Assistant Education Coordinator as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to enter into the agreement for the payment of the Assistant Conservation Coordinator as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to miscellaneous. Is there any other business to be brought before us today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. And I will turn the meeting over to President Steens
Thank you.
of the Stormwater Board.
I'd like to call to order the January 9th, 2024 Richmond Sanitary District Stormwater Management Board meeting. First on the agenda is the election of 2024 board officers. The first would be the president of the board. Do I have any nominations?
President Steens, I would like to nominate you,
Okay.
Greg Steens, to remain as president of the Sanitary District Stormwater Management Board.
I second.
We have a nomination for me to remain president of the Stormwater Management Board. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the nomination for the vice president of the Stormwater Board.
President Steens, I would like to nominate for vice president Aman Bakshi.
A second. We have a motion and a second to appoint Aman Bakshi as vice president of the Sanitation Board. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next would be the nomination for the recording secretary. Nomination, please.
And I will nominate Jessica Foster as our recording secretary.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Jessica Foster as the recording secretary. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes from December 12th of 2023.
President Steens, I'd like to propose a motion for approval of minutes from December 12th, 2023 as presented.
And I will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented from the December 12th, 2023 meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the approval of invoices for check date run December 15th, 22nd, and 29th of 2023.
President Steens, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoices from check dates December 15th, 22nd, and 29th of 2023, totaling $18,309.23.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve invoices for check date run December 15th, 22nd, 29th of 2023, totaling $18,309.23. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Item number 4 is being tabled. That was the recommendation to enter into an agreement for a combination truck for sewer maintenance. That will be tabled for a later date. Item number 5, this is a recommendation to enter into an agreement for the education coordinator. We did review this at the previous meeting. It's contract number 2-2024. This is for the coordinator itself. Does anyone have any questions? If not, could I have a nomination, please?
President
For
Steens?
approval.
Motion for recommendation to enter into agreement for the education coordinator as previously presented.
And I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to enter an agreement for the education coordinator, which is under contract number 2-2024. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Next on the agenda was the recommendation to enter into an agreement for the assistant education coordinator. We also reviewed this at the previous meeting. This is contract number 3-2024. Does anyone have any questions or a motion?
President Steens, I'd like to make a motion that we approve contract 3-2024 for the assistant education coordinator position.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve contract number 3-2024. This is for the assistant education coordinator. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Next is miscellaneous. Does anyone have anything?
The only thing I'd like to put on is the on-call surveying. We could do that on here as well. So again, it'd just be my recommendation to approve a contract with Beals, Moore and Associates for on-call surveying for stormwater as well as required for the years 24, 25, and 26 with the hourly rates as provided on the proposal.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
To amend the agenda.
So this will be paid out, whatever service, whoever it's for, right?
Correct, yep.
Whether it's
if it's-
sanitation or storm or landfill or whatever.
Right, yep, it would just, the appropriate fund would then be used to pay for that service.
Okay.
AJ said something, but we didn't hear it.
President Steens, we would also, it looks like, need a motion to amend the agenda to add that, and then a motion for approval.
Oh, okay, I got you, okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to include the on-call surveying services for 24, 25, and 26.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, it's approved. Next would be the actual approval of the on-call surveying services for 24, 25, and 26 with Bills, Moore and Associates for the stormwater projects.
President Steens? Motion for recommendation to enter into agreement for on-call surveying services as presented.
And I'll second the motion.
Motion is second to approve an agreement for on-call surveying services with Bills, Moore and Associates for the Richmond Stormwater Board. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. And I guess a contract will be put together and then brought back to the board for approval too? Or does it just have to be signed?
It just has to be signed at that point.
Okay. Anyone have anything else? Motion to adjourn, please.
I so move.
Second?
And we are adjourned.
Thank you.